Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new installment of the Wrestling Analyst. My name is Luc Boulier, and we'll take a look at the results and analysis of last night's November 11th Smackdown episode. So here we go. So, show starts right off the bat with the biggest match of the evening, Usos versus New Day for the undisputed tag team championship. Now, the New Day wants to prevent their record from being beaten by the Usos. And of course, the Usos want to win to break New Day's record and be the most and continue dominating the tag team division and be recognized as the greatest tag team of all time. Now, I can think of a lot of tag teams that were as good as the Usos because everyone knows that title reigns last as long as the Booker wants, basically. So, but for the sake of the storylines, they will now be recognized as the greatest tag team ever. So Roman, Solo, and Paul Heyman are stay in the back watching. Now, incredible match. Uh, I'm not rating it, but just going to say it was a very, very good match. Um, both teams kicking out of each other's former finishers, uh, and Usos win the match with a top rope 1D, and New Day put up quite a fight. Now, of course, Usos continue the title reign, and New Day, do they lose any momentum? Not really. Uh, I never thought they were gonna actually win the match because the match was essentially booked, uh, maybe uh, if in a fast fashion. There was no real storyline for New Day to be challenging the Usos other than to try to prevent them from breaking their record. So like I said, I never thought during the match that the New Day would win, and it just continues to build the legacy of the Usos even more. Now, after the match, Usos come backstage in Roman's locker room, and they celebrate. And Roman is like looking pissed off, gets up slowly, and then he just smiles and says, "This is how it feels being the greatest of all time," referring to him and his cousins. So, and again, no Sami Zayn yesterday. And so what's going on there? Anyway, we're going to see later on what's because there was another segment with the bloodline. So we'll see. I'll come back to all this at the end of this video. So on to match number 2. So Santos Escobar with the rest of Legado del Fantasma versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the first round of the Smackdown World Cup. Now, World Cup concept comes back this year, and hope it's not going to be screwed up like the last time when they made Shane McMahon win by shenanigans and whatever. Uh, Hope they're not doing something like that. Hope this time they get it right, and the winner of the World Cup will face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, both wrestlers obviously want to advance to the second round. Uh, there's not this match was made uh, basically because Shinsuke got the pin against Santos in that six-man tag a couple of weeks ago, and Escobar wins with the Phantom Driver from the second rope. Uh, Incredible finish, and the numbers game of Legado got the better of Nakamura. So Nakamura doesn't lose any uh, credibility because it was basically 3-on-1 at the end of the match. So Escobar further establishes himself as a threat to anyone on Smackdown. So that's the upside for him. And like I said, Shinsuke lost because he was outnumbered. So basically, there's no real loss there for Shinsuke. So after that, there's an interview with LA Knight backstage. And during the interview, you see the TV in the back flickering, and then there's Bray Wyatt's symbol appearing. Couple of times like that. And LA Knight turns around, sees it, looks at the TV, says, "What the hell is happening?" When he turns back around towards the interview person that was there, she was not there anymore, and it was Bray Wyatt. They exchange words, and Knight disrespects Bray, and Bray just gives him a headbutt and leaves. And the key words there are, how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go to achieve what you want? And they both said that to each other, and that's pretty interesting because you've seen this symbol on Raw for Alexa Bliss, and now you see it with LA Knight. So is Alexa Bliss gonna join Bray's gang? Let's say like that, or Bray's faction? And is LA Knight gonna be his first opponent? Would that be wise right now? Because LA Knight, you kind of want to establish him a little bit, and if you get him buried, not really buried, but if you get him beaten by Bray Wyatt right off the bat, you may hurt the guy. But if, on the contrary, LA Knight joins Bray Wyatt, it could be a literal boost for his career. So that's what happens there. And now on to match number 3. So match number 3, six-pack challenge to determine the number 1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Liv Morgan versus Lacey Evans versus Xia Li versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Shotzi versus Sonya Deville. I wrote 2 times Lacey Evans, but the last one was Sonya Deville. So out of those 6, who had a shot? Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, because they want to build her a little bit. But Sonya Deville, forget that. She had, it would have been a shocker to see her win. Xia Li and Lacey Evans too. Well, Lacey Evans maybe a little bit less of a shocker because they tried to build her as a former Marine again, and she gets lost in the shuffle. Uh, Maybe she, a little bit like I said about Deville recently, maybe Lacey Evans would be, it would be beneficial to her to go down back down to NXT, reinvent herself, have big, a good big run over there, uh, kind of like they did with Mandy Rose, kind of what they're doing with Apollo Crews right now. Get them down there, rebuild them, and come back later on the main roster uh, with more credibility on her. Uh, Lacey, she's not a bad wrestler. She just needs to have better build up to her. So Liv Morgan, I don't think it was the right time for her to make her win, since they're building her new persona right now, which is a little bit of a maniac wacko that likes pain and likes to inflict pain. And so it wasn't the right time to have Liv Morgan go up against Ronda Rousey once more. So that leaves us Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi. Raquel already had a match against Ronda, and she took her to the limit. Is Raquel ready for a title reign on the main roster? She still needs to be built up again. So Shotzi wins the match and will face Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series. Now, do I think that Shotzi has a shot to take the title from Ronda? No. Shotzi is there to be how can I say that? A temporary plan, a temporary opponent, and it's not a knock on Shotzi. Shotzi's not built up enough yet to be the future champion of Smackdown, and I think uh, they're either waiting for Charlotte's comeback uh, to get her to face Ronda for the title. So we're getting Shotzi versus Ronda at Survivor Series. Now, after the match, got to go to a commercial break, come back. Shayna Baszler confronts Shotzi and says, "Congratulations, you just won the bid. You think you won a title shot? Well, you just won a beating of a lifetime from Ronda." And she answers and does, and then Shayna says, "Why don't you say it to her face?" And Shotzi turns around. Rousey is there, and Shayna just does like she did to Natalya 2 weeks ago, and grabs Shotzi in the Kirifuda clutch and puts her to sleep. Now, with Ronda and Shayna Baszler together, we have half of the four horsewomen of MMA. The other two are elsewhere right now. Marina Shafir is in there. I think she's in AEW. And Jessamine Duke, I don't know where the hell she is right now. But if they come back eventually, we could finally have the four horsewomen of wrestling versus the four horsewomen of MMA. So Shayna, I think they're building her to be the badass that she was in NXT. And that is a good thing. Because Shayna, I mentioned it on my video on the situation of women's wrestling. Shayna in NXT was very, very good. She had very good matches against Ember Moon, against Kairi Sane, uh, and she was very, very good. If you haven't seen them, go see those matches in NXT takeovers, and you're going to see a whole different Shayna Baszler down there. So we're off to match number 4, which was basically the final match of the night. So let's go there. So Jinder Mahal is beside the ring saying he's going to win the World Cup. Berates the crowd, says there's no one man that can stop me. Cue Braun Strowman's music. So there's no one man that can stop you. Well, how about a monster? So that's the exact comment that Michael Cole said. And that match wasn't long. Braun Strowman basically destroyed Jinder Mahal. And to think that, and again, it's not a knock on Jinder. He's a good wrestler. He made it to WWE, so he has to have good things. But the guy was a world champion, and now they treat him like crap. Not that his title really meant something, other than wanting to get media attention from India. But it's basically that. It's basically the reason why Jinder had the title in the first place. It was to sell the network to India. So Braun wins easily with the Monster Bomb, and he advances to the second round of the World Cup. Then commercial break, and there we were supposed to have a match between Zelina Vega and B-Fab of Hit Row. Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma are both at ringside. And then there's the music of the Viking, the horn of the Viking Raiders that is heard in the arena. And the Viking Raiders just got there, raided the ring, and just beat up on everyone. Legado del Fantasma and Hit Row, both factions got taken out by the Viking Raiders like this. And Sarah Logan is back with her husband and Ivar, and she took out B-Fab like this too. So the Viking Raiders made a statement last night saying, we are back with a vengeance, and we won't take any prisoners. And those guys have been plagued by injuries. And this time, Sarah Logan is with them. She had a Viking persona when she was there earlier, but they didn't exploit it. Now they put all three together, and I think that this time Sarah will be built really like a Viking, and she's going to take out people. I think they're going to build her. I hope so for her, that they're going to build her to be that tough Viking female that can basically kick some ass in the Smackdown women's division. So the Viking Raiders are back, and I think, if they continue to build them like they did last night, they will do some damage in the tag team division, as long as they don't get injured. Like I said, they've been plagued by injuries, and that's too bad. So on with the final segment of the evening. Yeah. So final segment of the evening. Earlier in the night, when there was a celebration in the Roman's locker room, Roman said that he had some business to take care of in the ring, and he wanted to have his cousins with him and everything. So the whole bloodline minus Sami Zayn uh, went to the ring. So Roman talks about the Usos that are gonna break the New Day's record. That they should be recognized as the greatest tag team of all time, and out comes the Brawling Brutes. Now, Brawling Brutes come out, they talk, and then they say they have backup, and we have a returning Sheamus, and all three of them go in the ring, and they start to brawl with the with the Bloodline. So when the Bloodline numbers game, the numbers game took the upper hand, Drew McIntyre's music came on. Now, I've said I was wrong. I've said in a previous video that I thought that Bloodline would face New Day and the Brawling Brutes at the War Games. Well, I was wrong. It's going to be the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre. And, well, it's going to be Usos, Roman, Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn versus the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and a fifth member that will be named later. And the episode finishes on that brawl. So it was like, I don't like things like that, that finish on a brawl. Uh, and, well, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus were like on top at the end, and Bloodline were basically surprised. And so that means that Drew's victory at Crown Jewel places him right back up to be Roman's challenger. A little bit like I said in my Crown Jewel analysis. Because if you remember at the Clash of the Castle, Drew McIntyre got robbed when Solo interfered in the match. So that puts McIntyre right back up as a contender, maybe for Royal Rumble. What I see at the Royal Rumble maybe is a match between Drew and Roman, and with an interference by Karrion Kross to prevent uh, Drew from winning the title once again. Uh, so that's it for this episode of Smackdown. My Twitter, I posted my Twitter handle at the beginning of this video. I'll post my email on the final generic. Let's call it like that. And if you have any questions, if you have any comment on my videos, hope you like and hope you subscribe to my channel. If you love those kind of things, analysis and knowing a little bit more, trying to understand more about what's going on in the storylines, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep on doing this, and pretty soon for my French speaking friends, I will start doing a French version of my analysis. Uh, Maybe after Survivor, I'll start with the Survivor Series predictions. Uh, I'll start doing my French version on for Survivor Series. So have a nice one. I'll see you soon. Maybe I'll do another Chronicle video over the weekend. Um, I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. So have a nice day, and see you on my next video.